What if the next Ice Age animal you see is not in a museum, but standing in snow? That is the promise behind the woolly mammoth revival race. And the newest update is exciting, but it is also widely misunderstood. As of April 2026, there is no public evidence that a living woolly mammoth embryo has been implanted, and no mammoth calf has been born. The serious claim is different. Colossal Biosciences is trying to engineer an elephant that carries the key cold-adapted traits of a woolly mammoth. That distinction matters. This would not be a perfect clone of an extinct animal pulled from ice. Ancient DNA is fragmented. A modern Asian elephant is the closest living relative, so the plan is to start with elephant cells, edit selected mammoth-like variants, and eventually create a cold-resistant elephant-mammoth proxy. Colossal's own mammoth page describes the target as a cold-resistant elephant with the core biological traits of the woolly mammoth. It should look, sound, and function more like a mammoth in cold ecosystems, but biologically, it begins with an elephant. So what actually changed recently? First, in 2024, Colossal announced elephant-induced pluripotent stem cells. These are reprogrammed elephant cells that can, in principle, be grown and studied as different cell types. That gives researchers a testbed for mammoth-related traits like hair growth, fat storage, cold tolerance, and development, without running every experiment in a living elephant. Second, in 2025, the company announced the woolly mouse. These were laboratory mice edited for woolly coat traits and lipid metabolism. The point was not to make a tiny mammoth, it was a fast proof of process. Mice develop in weeks. Elephants have a 22-month pregnancy, so mice let researchers test gene editing pipelines quickly. That is why the mouse made headlines. It showed a visible trait, long, wavy, gold-toned fur. But critics correctly point out that a woolly coat is not a mammoth. A mammoth is anatomy, metabolism, behavior, reproduction, immunity, development, and an ecosystem role. The real mammoth project is much harder. Researchers need to identify which genetic changes matter, edit elephant cells safely, verify those edits, understand whether the cells behave normally, create embryos, and then face the hardest step, gestation. Elephants are endangered, intelligent, social animals. Pregnancy is long. Surrogacy would carry real welfare concerns. That is why the company also talks about assisted reproduction and future ex utero gestation, but those are not solved mammoth production machines today. Now the clickbait question, will there be a calf in 2028? Colossal has publicly targeted 2028 for first mammoth-like calves, but a target is not a guarantee. The careful version is this. The company says it is aiming for that date. Independent observers should treat it as an ambitious timeline, not a confirmed outcome. The science is still important, even if the deadline slips. Elephant stem cells could help endangered elephant conservation. Better genome editing could help genetic rescue. Biobanking could preserve living species before their populations crash. And studying cold-adapted traits could teach us real biology. But the conservation argument is controversial. Supporters say cold-adapted elephant-mammoth proxies could one day help restore grassland-like Arctic ecosystems by trampling snow, grazing shrubs, and changing how heat moves through permafrost. Skeptics say that is a massive ecological bet, and that money, attention, and habitats should go first to species that are still alive. Both points can be true. The technology can be impressive, and the marketing can still outrun the evidence. So here is the honest status. No living mammoth calf, no confirmed implanted mammoth embryo, no exact resurrection of Mammothus primigenius. What exists is a heavily funded attempt to build a mammoth-like elephant proxy, backed by real progress in elephant stem cells, mouse editing, ancient DNA analysis, and reproductive technology. If it works, it will be one of the most dramatic biotechnology stories of the century. If it fails, the tools may still reshape conservation. The mammoth is not back. But the line between extinction and engineering is getting blurrier every year. Subscribe to Science in 5 Minutes for careful updates on the breakthroughs that sound impossible until they don't.